A pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Yours truly, Carlos Brown. Guest menu looks like this today. Aussie Clark, he will join us on today's show. Of course, we're going to be talking about some big basketball games, specifically Southern University and Grambling State, the Bayou Classic on the court. Here's what's trending. Bayou Classic, basketball edition, Southern University and Grambling State. They will tangle in a little while, and revenge will be the word for Grambling State University. SWAC Basketball Tournament set to stream live on ESPN Plus. That's coming up, of course, in March. The SWAC basketball race on both sides. Still a lot to be played for. And then last but not least, on a sad note, Southern University loses one of his own, Coach Sean Wallace. Passed away. His fight with pancreatic cancer is over. He won. And I know some may not understand that, but he won from this physical body now to the spiritual realm. He's a winner. And we're going to talk a little bit more. We're going to get the panel's thoughts on kind of losing Southern University, one of their own. Now, let's introduce the panel. They'll come in one by one. Willa Brown, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Coach Pettaway. Good morning. Getting ready for a broadcast. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Charles Edmond, getting ready for a broadcast as well. But I just kind of want to start the show. You know, we do this podcast. We all have jobs or retired. We all have this thing what we call life. And this is kind of a tough situation. Most people have dealt with losing family members, parents, siblings. But Coach Sean Wallace passed away. And a quick memory of him, of course, he was a Southern University All-American football player. He tackled coaching like he tackled football. And the last time I saw him actually was in the press box, because the journalists, we're right here, members of the media, if you want to call it that. And then the coaching booth is right there. And you could hear him, the passion with coaching, his position, secondary, defensive backs. And he brought that passion just like he brought the passion on the football field. So in loving memory of Coach Sean Wallace, our thoughts and prayers go out to the Southern University family, his family, and there's a saying that helps me get through some of these times, and I'll paraphrase it. The spirit is just like matter. It never dies. And that matter, that spirit, it still will be with you. You can feel it. Everything we will see something will remind us of Coach Wallace. For just what he meant to Southern University and also, of course, his family. So, journey well, Coach Wallace. Journey well. Coach Pettaway, Wheeler, it's always a tough situation to, go through that, but it's part of the life cycle.
Right. He's a member of the JAG Nation forever, and his colleagues and the people that knew him, the players, they're all grieving right now. And, in his coaching, we're all a family. It's a family of coaches all across. We connect in so many different ways and things. And my thoughts and prayers are out there for he and his family and for JAG Nation. And it's just a tough time, but, weeping endures for a night. Joy comes in the morning. So that's what we have to lean on. That's what we have to believe in. And like you say, journey well, my friend, journey well.
Yeah. and he won. He won,
Yeah,
Wheeler. To to
Yeah.
battle to battle that, and now to go over, he's won. He's won.
And hopefully everyone will rally around his family and keep his memory alive always. And they always say that the toughest part is, after the services and everything are over with and things kind of semi try to get back to normal, that's
Hmm.
when the family needs people to lean on even more.
right.
Hmm.
And hopefully everyone understands that, and they'll be there, for his family long after the services have finished.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah,
I had a video of Coach Wallace when he played for Southern University in the Bayou Classic. Hopefully, we'll be able to show that. But once again, that passion on the football field, he carried over in life and also in coaching. And another quick story, and then we'll move on. Um, 1993, Coach Richardson them they had a scrimmage, and in the fall camp, and they kind of struggled in the last major scrimmage. It was a player that led a players only meeting, and they just had a scrimmage, and it wasn't to Coach Richardson's liking, and apparently not to Sean Wallace liking. So the story I was told had a players only meeting, and that next Saturday against Northwestern State, they could have scored 50 points. From that last scrimmage to how they performed on that first game of Coach Richardson's tenure at Southern University. And Coach Wallace was how can you put it? He was passionate, but he was also tough,
right.
and he was able to gather the troops. And according to him, he said some of those faults and some of those bad practices, he felt like he had bad practices as well. But he changed it. And Coach Pettaway and Coach and Wheeler Brown, he changed it.
Mhm.
Right, but see that's a sign of a true leader. I mean, as a player,
Mhm.
he's stepping up, showing his leadership ability, and the other thing is that the players respected him because they rallied around him, and that's what you want to see as a coach. That's what you like to see, and now that tells you why he ended up being a pretty good assistant coach.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very passionate. Um, Ossie Clark now will join us.
All
And
right,
we had Charles there, but I guess Charles will be back there. There
uh,
he goes. There he goes.
Good
Charles.
morning.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, he's back now.
Good morning, Charles. Good morning, Ossie.
Good morning.
Ossie, we got a big game coming up, Southern and Grambling State. And I will say this. This is a game immediately after the game in Baton Rouge. The Grambling fans were looking forward to that. We'll see you in North Louisiana, buddy. And then here again, talking about officiating, even my colleagues, they say strange things happen in Baton Rouge. Oh, really? As far as officiating, you know what? I just can't believe that. But good morning to everybody in the chat room. Um, Charles, we were just talking in Aussie about Coach Sean Wallace and his battle with cancer, and he passed away. Any thoughts?
Man, I didn't know Coach Wallace. I've heard some stuff about him, just how passionate, and he was a Jaguar, true and blue, and just seeing all the pictures and just reading all the comments. I mean, he was, the Columbia Blue. That was him. So thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. That's a tough one. But as you said, Carlos, he's doing just fine. He's in a much
Hmm.
better place, in a much better space.
Yeah. No more pain. No more pain, Austin.
No more pain whatsoever for Coach Wallace. And I'm like Charles, I never had the privilege of actually getting to the opportunity to meet him, but to see him play, I've watched him play a number of times, and what a tremendous football player he was on the field. which is what Coach Pettaway said was why he ended up being such a great assistant coach for the Jaguar Nation. But make no mistake about it, the battle has been fought. The victory has already been won. And there's a whole song that I'm reminded of that say, when the battle is over, we shall wear a crown. And so right now, Coach Wallace is wearing his crown, and he's wearing it well. And one of these days, I don't know when or where, but we'll see him again.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Until we meet again. SWAC Basketball Tournament set to stream live on ESPN Plus. I'm sure some people like me excited about that. Another opportunity to showcase a SWAC Basketball Tournament that, Charles, will be one for the ages. I got a feeling, because you got a log jam at second place. First place is not sold up yet, but could be close. But the ESPN Plus, all of the games, both on the women and men's side, televised. So I believe that's a very good thing.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I mean, just we kind of know the cast of characters that'll be a part of that. People that we know that have been doing games, Centoria Black and others that have been following the SWAC, and that gives you good content and good information. I'm happy for that, and just looking forward to an exciting tournament in Atlanta in a new venue. And as you mentioned, Carlos, nothing has been determined as of yet. Southern doesn't have it sold up. They got some work to do. They got some tough games to go, including this one today. I think they got to go to Florida. The second seed right now is up for grabs. I mean, the Braves had a shot, to get in a good position. Lost to Florida A&M the other day, and we're on the bad end of that tiebreaker. Second through sixth is still very much up for grabs. You can't discount Alabama State. They have a chance to move up. So I think this will be a really exciting tournament in terms of the seedings. And then teams trying to get out of that 7 through 10 hole, because that they got to play early. They got to play a lot of basketball to win it from that 7 through 10 slot. So there's a lot to be determined. Nothing is sold up either on the men's and women's side. And these last few weeks, it's down the stretch we come.
Coach Pettaway, I was listening to Charles on the broadcast with the FAMU. And Charles, if I didn't know better, I heard several times, and by the way, great job. Great job.
Yeah.
I heard several times, Coach Pettaway, you ready for this?
Yeah.
He said kind of like Southern had a tough road. And I thought about it. Every team has those 3 straight road games. Now Southern gets theirs toward the end. Today, then FAMU and Bethune-Cookman. Then they come back home for the Coach Pettaway, you see how he's smiling? He almost has a smirk. That's how it sounded. That's how it sounded on the broadcast. Honestly, I was listening to him.
Am I lying?
Huh?
Am I lying? I mean, it is a tough road to hold. You got FAMU right there. You got Bethune-Cookman. They're shorthanded, but they're giving you everything they've got. That Florida swing is not easy, especially with those two teams being in contention for that 2 seed. And if Southern slips up, who knows? So, yeah, I mean, being on the road in this conference is not very easy. And you got 2 pretty good teams there coming up.
You see how I'm smiling, Charles?
And Charles, to me,
it was just the energy.
Right now, Florida A&M. Florida A&M, to me, the Rattlers are the scariest team out there right now. Yeah. They're playing well, and man, they're really getting after people. So that you're right. That's going to be a very tough road swing for Southern, and I think his Grambling has to go that way. It's going to be tough down there, man. But I just think it'll probably, to me, it's going to come down to the last week of the season for 2 through 10. I honestly think that I don't think anybody's going to catch Southern. That's just my opinion. I don't think anybody's going to catch the Jaguars.
Well, Austin, you see, I'm throwing my hands up, and I was smiling because Charles' energy was almost like if you were just tuning in, Charles. It was like but you didn't guarantee that Southern would lose 2 or 3 on that road trip. And here's another thing: FAMU is definitely waiting for Southern University. You know why? A 91-57 beating in Baton Rouge. And ever since then, minus a game, They have been tough. And by the way, the coach got an extension. Yeah, McCreary. I'm so glad. Should have been. You ready for this? I would give him, based on what I've seen in person, I'd give him a 3-year contract plus an extension, 4. An
Wow.
option. An option, yeah.
You
Well-
mean he does not get the regular Carlos Brown contract? Wow. It might be snowing. It might be snowing.
That makes him special. That makes him special.
Hey,
But
Hey, we better be checking around, man, to make sure this, something's not gonna happen to us.
make no mistakes about it. Right now is a very tender time in the conference season. You don't know what can happen from week to week and game to game, and every game really matters. And at this particular point, if you're the Southern University Jaguars, you have to remember there's a couple of things. There's consistency, and then there's intensity. Those are the two things that you have to carry into these basketball games. How consistent can we be to everything that we've done all year long? Can we fight for every loose ball? Can we get those extra rebounds? Can we get into a position where we're keeping teams working hard throughout the course of a basketball game to beat us? And today will be no easy task against Grambling just because of the rivalry itself. Grambling is not as strong as they've been in the last couple of years, but being that it's Southern and it's Grambling, it's going to be a very tough basketball game. I just give the edge to the Jaguars at this point. And then you have to make that Florida swing that Charles has already talked about. It's going to be very tough to go down there and win. But do I believe that the Jaguars have everything that it takes to win? I absolutely do. But it will come down to how consistent they can be and the level of intensity that they carry into every basketball game from this point on out. Florida A&M is definitely the most dangerous team that's going around right now. So you can't sleep at any time. So no sleeping behind the wheel. If you're the Jaguars, keep your foot on the gas, keep your eyes open, and keep pressing forward.
I couldn't disagree with anything you said. And family's gonna be very tough. But before you get to that, Grambling State will play their best game of the year. Trust me. Both on the women and the men's side.
The one thing that I will definitely say about the Grambling Tigers is that injury did play a role in how they're playing right now. And it's slowly but surely coming together, and they're looking better. If you actually looked at the game against Texas Southern the other night, Grambling actually had a commanding lead in that basketball game and should have won that game and allowed Texas Southern to chip away and get back into the game. So you have to remember that they are putting pieces of the puzzle together. Grambling has those moments as a basketball team where they just go through droughts, where they just don't score. And that's been their problem all year long. They'll have a tremendous half or a tremendous half and then play almost down to the end of the game and have that drought. And that's what happened to Grambling the other night against Texas Southern. But again, with this being a rivalry between Grambling and Southern, you're right. They're going to come out and they're going to play lights out. They're going to play unconscionable because they just want to win for the sure fact that this is an in-state rivalry. But I still give the edge to the Southern University Jaguars just based on how well they have played when it really counts.
I think you got to go with Southern until you see otherwise.
Change it.
Yeah, change
And,
it.
they go down to Florida. They can split two.
That thing.
Yeah, they come out of Florida 1-1, call it a day. And, they keep it moving from there. But they're definitely, high up in the driver's seat. And, like you said, it's about keeping a foot on the gas pedal. It's about continuing to push those kids towards the excellence that you're looking for. And, I think they're hard to catch right now. No doubt about that.
A 3-game lead on the men's side. They're one loss by 1 point to Alabama State. Ossie mentioned it, consistency. They've been the most consistent team. And then here's another thing. They don't have really a dominant scorer. 2 starters have been out for the year. Damasi. But if you look at it also, Southern University leads the nation in bench scoring. And you could analyze every game. That bench, that second unit comes in, they bring tremendous energy. They're tough and they play defense, and they've been the most consistent. Now, all that being said, when the tournament starts, everybody's 0-0. And this is one of the things that I kind of fear. You have a team that's been consistent and wins the regular season, but they could slip up in the tournament. Although they've been the best all year, they're not gonna
You got to play the
represent the
game.
conference. They're not gonna represent the conference. Yeah.
You got to play the game. You got to play the game. And to me, Coach Johnson is the coach of the year. I don't think there's any doubt about that. The job that he's done this year, especially being in his second year. I mean, you can't. I don't think you can go any other way with it. Kerry's good. The guy FAMU, he's good, no doubt about it. And he would be pretty much the runner-up, in my opinion. But Coach Johnson, the job that he's done in year 2, right there on the verge of a regular season championship, that sort of thing. To me, that's got Coach of the Year written all over it.
I'm not so sure, Wheeler Brown. I'm not going to say it's a slam dunk. If Florida A&M continues their upward climb, considering where they were ranked, considering what they have done, if they find a way, and Southern still got work to do, there's no doubt. But if FAMU continues to ascend, considering where Florida A&M was picked and where they are right now, I think you got to have a little deeper conversation. Maybe Coach Carey, because of where they were predicted and where they finish, there could be an extra conversation, an extra sentence, an extra discussion to be had on that one. 3 weeks ago, I would have said, no doubt, Coach Johnson, a slam dunk. And I'm not hating on Southern University. I know some people feel like I am, but I'm not. It's a difference between fandom and facts. Okay?
Right.
Between fandom and facts. I can't talk bad about the Ravens around Wheeler Brown too much because he's gonna let me have it. I can't talk bad about the Miami.
I will.
I can't talk bad about the Saints or the Miami Heat around Carlos Brown because he's a fan of the Saints. He's a fan of the Heat. There's a difference between fandom and facts. So we talk about Southern. One of their biggest Achilles heels, Coach Johnson said it to the media this week, free throw shooting. You expect these games to be close in the tournament. And Southern University is near the bottom of the conference of free throw shooting. That could come back to haunt them. If they start hitting them and if they improve on that, that's a good thing. But I think if Florida A&M continues to ascend, I think you got to have a little bit more of a conversation about Coach Carey. And I saw him, by the way. I congratulated him. Very low key. It was like a matter of fact type of thing. He may be nervous. I don't know. But he's not that kind of dude. He's not that rah-rah guy. He's very low key. Just kind of lowering his head down and just taking it one at a time. And that's kind of the impression that I got from talking to him. And I thought it was a job well done to get him a deal. I was told, Carlos, it was a 4-year deal. So he's got 3 more years in addition to what he's got right now. I can't, maybe Brian can confirm that. I don't know. But if it's a 4-year deal, I'm all for that. Even if it's a 3-year deal, I'm okay with it. But he definitely deserves more than the 1-year deal that he had previously.
Yeah, I would agree with that. FAMU's at Alabama State. They got the Alabama swing this weekend. They have work to do.
Yeah.
Now, if Southern wins the regular season, right? And let's say they win the tournament, there's no doubt about it. Maybe you'll see where they're and has there been a case recently that they have coaches of the year?
I can't remember.
Oh, some of you people in the chat room, get off your feelings. Come on. Nobody's saying that Carey hasn't done a great job. Yeah. In the grand scheme of things, perhaps he should be coach of the year because what he's done. But you can't delete Coach Johnson if they win it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can have a discussion, honest, open discussion. I'm for that.
I mean,
You
how
should.
many people in year two had Coach Johnson winning the regular season crown?
Well, the
I mean,
predicted order. Are you going on
I
the
like to
predicted order of
know
finish?
realistically, he was just coming in, changing the roster up and all that sort of thing. Granted,
Hmm.
he didn't have the skeletons on his back that maybe uh, Kerry at FAMU had, that sort of thing, in terms of the 1 year deal and the publicity behind it, that sort of thing. But he was still coming into a difficult situation, and he still did a magnificent job, I think, in terms of turning that program around and keeping it competitive in year one,
Hmm.
okay, and then taking that next step in year two towards building towards the championship. To me, when you look at the total body of work, okay, to me that spells coach of the year attitude. Just me.
Yeah, because Grambling State was in the predicted order of finish to win it,
Yeah.
and Southern was close by. But it's entered this discussion.
And if you look at Coach Johnson's first year, guys, if you remember, Southern University was a 2 seed going into the last game of the regular season, and they lost. I think it was Alabama A&M, which dropped them to a 4 seed going
Mm-hmm.
into the tournament. So they very realistically could have been a number 2 seed. Year one, you finish number 2, and then this year you're going to finish either first or you're on the road to winning it right now. So Coach Johnson has done an outstanding job. There's no question
Mm-hmm.
about that. Has he excelled expectations? I mean, I think when Sean Woods was let go, we always felt Southern was a top 4 program, in my opinion, at least anyway. They're a top 4 program anyway. So they really excelled based on my expectation. I was expecting what I'm seeing right now, maybe next year. But for him to come in, finish a 4 seed, which they could have been 2, but still a good year, and then where they are right now, I mean, has he exceeded expectations to a lot of people at this point?
Well, Austin, I come with a counter. If my memory serves me, Southern was picked 6 in the first year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they finished second. Didn't win it, right? Didn't win Coach of the Year, right? It was to the
Absolutely.
team that won it, right?
Yeah.
So what makes it different this year?
And I don't mean to cut you off, Carlos.
Go
My
ahead.
thinking is very simple along the way. If you are 11, 12, and 1 in the season, and it's in your second year as a team, I don't think that you can really deny the ability of the coach to be able to get his guys to play up beyond where they were predicted to be at this particular point in the year. Nobody really thought that the Southern University basketball team would be the top team in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. And what a great job he has done being able to get the guys to step up into play. And so when you talk about coaches and you talk about guys doing a great job, can we take anything away from what Florida A&M has been able to accomplish? No. Is it really par for the course at this particular point? Probably so. Are they playing with house money? They absolutely are, because they're playing at this particular point above their heads. And sometimes, in order for you to be recognized as a team that's on the move, you got to play within yourself up to your capabilities, and then thirdly, above your head. And right now, Florida A&M is just playing above their heads. Why? They believe in the coach. They believe in the system. They believe in themselves. And so you take nothing away from them at this point, saying that they are a team that is trending with a great coach. But I still believe that if you're a coach and you only have 1 loss on the season, you didn't do too shabby of a job. And how dare anybody
Mm-hmm.
think that you don't deserve to be in the conversation, if not the coach of the year?
But my point, right. But my point was, last year, FAMU is doing what Southern is doing this year. Pick 6, finish second. If FAMU finished second, Coach Johnson didn't win it last year. So, Coach Carey, great job. Unless they just flat out go on a roll again and win a tournament, I think he will fall short. I mean, for
Hey,
the discussion. Yeah.
Carlos, are you just being a hater right now?
No. No. I actually I gave Coach Carey great credit, but Charles said let's bring it up and put it in the discussion.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you at this point because, again, if it's based on whose team is the best team at the end of the year that gets the coaching award, then the coaching award should go to the team that has the best record overall. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you did the best coaching job overall, because sometimes the best coaching job can be done when you don't have the most talent. But I do agree with you at this particular point.
Well, thank you, sir. I just think Coach Johnson's going to get it.
And I think Florida A&M's biggest issue is Florida A&M. I mean, if they start smelling themselves, because you know they're the talk of the league right now. And I know someone sent me a comment on X that, and I sounded shocked and surprised that we lost the other night at FAMU, and I was. A game like that, bright lights Monday night, a team that usually wins these big games, talking about Alcorn, for us not to come out, never led, and FAMU, got to give them credit. They took it to us. We never responded. But a big game like that with Landon Bussey as coach, we usually find a way to win these games, but not the other night. And so that's why I was shocked. With the lights bright, FAMU whipped us coming back from 20 to first meeting. I thought we'd be ready to go, and we were not ready to go the opening jump. And so I'm giving FAMU their props. There's no question about it. But that's still a big game, a really big game. And usually these big games down the stretch, the Braves usually find a way to win the majority of them, but we didn't. And I think that was kind of the one thing that kind of hurt me, because we just didn't come out ready to go. And Bussy talked about no intensity. Like Lassie Clark talked about consistency and intensity. We didn't have any of that the other night in a big game with second place on the line for us in that moment. It's on the line for us again today. We'll see if we can respond. FAMU's definitely the team to beat right now.
It's going to be tough. Well, you're still putting them up above Southern. That's what it sounds like to me. But
no, I'm not putting them up.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Southern University. I think FAMU
they
right
are
now,
the hottest team.
They are the hottest team. And I'm going with the flavor of the day. The flavor of the day is Florida.
Flavor of the day. See, I'm consistent. I'm not the flavor of the day. Coach Pettaway. Yeah. I was talking about Southern. They don't have per se a 18-point score. They lead the nation in bench scoring, and they're just tough. They've been the most consistent. Now, free throws. Yes,
that's the only bugaboo. That's the only bugaboo.
Also, can you address, because I got a text message that I shared with you, and it's a Lost Southern supporter. He was kind of ticked off that Southern had trouble adjusting to the press that Texas Southern had put on Southern University, because they played great in the first half. If you can, from a coaching perspective, and the person said he'd be willing to sit and listen about the troubles that Southern was having. Yeah, EA, you would like his analysis. yes, you would. I understand, EA. Also, Coach Pettaway, you went out, but we're talking about the possibility. Charles brought it up that Coach Carey should be in a discussion for Coach of the Year, and then that's where we had the fork in the road there. Go ahead, sir.
Right. Well, now, Carlos, here's the thing. That might be true. He is a candidate, but if they go like they've been in the past, whoever wins the conference regular season championship will be named the Coach of the Year. That's what they've been doing now for years. And I don't think they've changed since I left the SWAC. They're still doing that. Yeah, Coach Florida A&M is doing an outstanding job. Coach McCray has done a great job. But unless he wins the SWAC championship, I don't see him being named the Coach of the Year. It's automatic that they give it to the coach that wins the conference championship. Now, in terms of the pressure that Southern received the other night, Coach Johnson did everything. He used his timeouts. He changed up how he was.
I think we lost Coach Pettaway. Let's see. Get to the good part. The coaching perspective.
Against pressure. He checks all the
Mhm.
boxes. The Southern. This is what you need to understand and realize. If you get a W at the end of the game,
That's all that
never
matters.
forget how you played the game. And then for those
All that
fans,
matters.
I'm gonna go back to like I used to tell people here at Alabama A&M.
Oh, it's getting to the good part there.
I think they shut him down. I think he was getting ready to
No.
one right there.
We'll give him a second to see if he's going to pop back in. But Charles, you kind of know what he was going to talk about.
Oh, yeah. We kind of talked about it kind of via text as well this week. Just, fans are going to be fans. And, when you win pretty, if you win ugly, people are going to wonder what's going on. But at this point, with 5 games left in the regular season, and even Landon Bussey said it the other day, I don't care if I win by 0.5 point. I never thought I'd hear him say that because he likes to me. But I think at this point, we've been smacked upside the head a few times. This is an unusual territory for us because we're used to being near the top of the conference. We're not. We have a chance to be a 2 seed, but we got a lot of work to do. But as long as he wins by 0.5 point, it's a victory. I'll take it. I never thought I'd hear him say it, but he said it the other day, and he's absolutely correct. Yeah.
Southern University on the women's side last week. I'm just going to give you the quick scores. 86-42 over Prairie View. Charles, Will, and Aussie, Coach Pugh, great success at Southern University, not the success at Prairie View. I've got a question, and people have asked me questions. Will she survive at Prairie View? From the outside looking in, I think it's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. And they may be making moves on the men's side as well. I'm not sure. Of course, I'm from the outside looking in. But 86-42, Southern University on the women's side. Let's see. They're near the top. They're near the top because Texas Southern has went on a kind of a losing streak. So 86-42 on the men's side. Of course, we're kind of just talking about it. Southern.
Hey, Carlos.
Mm-hmm. Who is that? That's Travis Jerome. Yeah.
I figured I crashed the party, Carlos.
How you doing, Travis?
He's going back to work.
Yeah, a lot of work. 66-57 on the men's side, and then 72-60. Southern over Prairie View. So the men with a 3-game lead, unless it's just a complete collapse, they will be the number 1 seed. But Charles, do you know if is there going to be a bye for the regular season champ? What's the latest on that?
Yeah, Coach Kilbert showed me the bracket. I haven't seen it in totality. He just kind of gave me a sneak peek. There will be some buys in there. The tournament will start on Tuesday for those lower seeded teams. But if you can get out of that 7, 8, 9, 10, then you won't play till Wednesday or possibly even Thursday. And so there will be buys, I think, for the top 2 teams. And so and next year I'm anxious to see what the bracket's going to look like with all 12 teams in it. I'm anxious to see how that bracket's going to look. But from what I saw, got a little peek of it, and I think it's out there. I just haven't looked at it. I think there will be buys in there. But I tell you what, that 7 through 10, if you're on the road to end the regular season and then you're 7 through 10, and it may not matter, but I think, in my opinion, it does matter. You're traveling already, then you got to travel to Atlanta. You got a short turnaround time. We're in that situation, Carlos. We're stuck in the 6 hole right now. We're 2 games behind Grambling for 5 and don't have the tie break because they beat us. We're 2 games up, I believe, on Florida A&M. So we're stuck in that 6 hole. But if we stumble, and I don't know what Lady Braves team's going to show up today here at 1 o'clock, we could fall to 7, and then we end up at Pine Bluff, and then we got to head to Atlanta. And so, I know that might not make a difference right now. We're a little ways away from that, but it's just something you just got to think about as you get down the stretch here. Winning the regular season on the women's side, you got Southern there, you got Jackson there, you got Texas Southern, team trying to make the tournament, and then you're trying to avoid that 7 through 10. I think those are 3 races that's going on both the men's and women's side.
Willer, A.D. Willer Brown, you just have to put some of that finances on the side for such scenarios, right?
I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Tournament time is tournament time. And you know that pretty much anything goes, that sort of thing. And from a financial point of view, you want to make sure that, you have dollars in place for any and all scenarios that may come up. And, you just got to try to make it as easy, as comfortable as possible on your team and on your coach. You want them to have to worry about nothing but coaching. That's
Right.
it. I don't want to hear about the hotel, don't want to hear about the meals, all that sort of thing. I just want coach to be ready to coach, when the time comes. He should have his practice schedule already straight, and, wherever it is that they're going to be practicing and, things of that nature, everything should already be set. He should have nothing on his mind but getting that W.
Austin, now you see why we call him the hardliner. He's fair, but he's going to be tough. And a former athlete himself, look, hey, I could work for a guy like that. I like the toughness. I like the toughness.
I like the toughness too, and I have to agree with AD Willer in this situation. I have to agree with them at this particular point. You already should have these things ironed out. Those things shouldn't really matter to you about all of the other nuances. Only thing that you should be worried about is who do I play and how do we win the basketball game? Because that's all that really matters. You realize that the trip is going to be, as Charles already put it, it's going to be a quick turnaround if you're in the 7, 8, 9, 10 spot. So you already know these things. These are given to you. If this was a mathematical equation and you were teaching math, these are the givens to the equation. You already know all of this. Now it's really about stepping up and playing to your best capabilities when you step out there on the court, because everything down the stretch is going to matter. And the one thing that you don't want to do is go into the SWAC tournament with a losing 5 games or losing 3 games or losing two games down the stretch. You don't want to go into the tournament losing, period, because that's going to be extra on the mind. So the biggest thing that you have to do is win now, and then once you get to Atlanta, just continue to keep on winning, because all the other stuff really doesn't matter at this point.
I'm not an athletic director.
That's like a coach coming to me, a football coach coming to me on game day and telling me the damn grass is too high. Come on now. Come on. The grass was high on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Come on now.
Well, there's an exception to that, Wheeler Brown.
Where your mind at? Obviously, it ain't on playing football. You out there with a tape measure, measuring the blades of grass. Come on now.
There's an exception to that, though, Wheeler Brown. There's an old Nick Saban story when he was at Alabama. He walked out a few hours before the game. The grass was too high. He summoned the grass crew to go out and cut the grass, and they did. So that's Nick Saban talking now. That's an old story. I mean, I've heard that a couple of times. I guess there may be an exception to that rule.
But it was high. It was high on Friday, Charles.
Well, yeah, it was. But
And guess what? It's like a guy told me one time. It was a high school game, and it was storming and raining, and his team lost. And he basically told me that if the weather, if it wasn't raining, my team would have won. I'm like, I'm trying to imagine when his team has the ball, it's raining, and then when the other team has the ball, it's not raining. No, it's raining for both teams. It still comes down to execution, but But I think really though, if I can go to my AD with a complaint or with a suggestion, as long as he's open to hearing me. Now he may tell me no, we can't do it right now, but at least that open dialogue. That's important. But you're right. You should be thinking about X's and O's, the game plan, and winning this game. And then after the game, we can talk again.
Yeah. Well, I'm not an athletic. I have a lot of.
Wheeler doesn't seem like you like that scenario. I just proposed.
No.
I'm gonna hear you, Carlos.
Yeah.
I didn't say you was gonna answer me.
Ain't no doubt about it. I'm gonna hear what you got to say.
It's a difference between hearing and
You're gonna
listening
hear what
to
I
you.
got to say too.
Oh, I know. I know.
Now ain't the time. I'm
Right.
sorry. Now ain't the time.
When somebody says I hear you, he ain't listening to you, just going in one ear and out the other. That's all. I hear you. I mean, that means that went right over your head. So when you're listening, that's one thing. When I hear you, that's just going in one ear, out the other. In my opinion. But what Wheeler said, and I'm not an athletic director. I don't profess to be, but when it comes to these tournaments, in my opinion, whatever the coach wants to do within reason, I think he should do. If a team wants to leave, for example, for us, and I've talked with our coach about it, we end the season in Pine Bluff. If our team wants to leave Pine Bluff and go to Atlanta as an administrator, and I'm not one, but if I was, if he wants to do that or she wants to do it, I'm gonna let him
Make it happen. Make it happen.
I think the sacrifices that these coaches make during non-conference, even though they're getting the big paychecks, and some of the sacrifices they're making in conference, you gotta put it out there for the SWAC tournament, because what you don't want to have happen is a bunch of excuses at the end in terms of logistics. You did it the way you wanted to do it, and so the logistics aspect is out the window because you left when you wanted to leave. You stayed at whatever hotel you wanted to stay in, and I'll make whatever financial sacrifices to make sure you're good and comfortable for the tournament, because that's what it's all about. That's me. Now, other ADs and other people might feel a little differently about it, but whatever it takes. And I know probably Texas Southern and Prairie View probably gonna fly to Atlanta. I doubt if they're gonna bust it. I doubt that very seriously, but they might. But I'm gonna make sure, Coach, if you want to fly, I'm Dr. Granger. I'm gonna make it happen. I'll make it where Coach Skeet, as well as Johnny Jones and that team, flies to Atlanta. It's a nonstop. If you can make it happen. So I'm gonna make it happen. That's just me. I want them to be comfortable, and I want them to be focused, laser focused.
Well, Wheeler, because they get, according to reliable sources, at least Texas Southern, all of those guaranteed money games they get, and it goes back to in the program, they have no problem flying.
And they shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't. No.
They shouldn't. In the grand scheme of things, they shouldn't. Like Charles just said, I'm going to eliminate any excuse that you may have for not doing well. So you're not going to tell me we just got there the day before, that's the reason why we lost, or this happened, that's the reason why we lost, or we couldn't eat in the hotel, we had to wind up busing a half hour to Golden Corral, that's why we lost. No. We will eliminate all of those reasons, all of those excuses. Coach the game.
Yeah.
Well said. Boy, this first hour has flown by. I know Aussie said he was available for the first hour, so we appreciate him joining us, and we'll talk with him real soon. Now, the players deserve all the first class accommodations. I agree. Not saying that Wheeler doesn't. Even though we say he's a hardliner, he's fair. He's fair, and he just said he will try to do everything in his power for the accommodations of the players. And you're absolutely right, Charles. Some big games coming up today. You got Alabama on the men's side. Alabama State hosting FAMU. As we pull our notes. And FAMU, and look, Alabama State gave Southern their loss, so that's going to be a tough one, Wheeler and Charles.
They also gave FAMU their loss.
Yeah. So if they lose today, I don't want people coming out after Carey. They still have done an outstanding job. But you know how the fan bases are. They, and now that I think about it, when did this? It seems this climate changed so rapidly. And, it's always been pressure. But I swear, when somebody came in this conference for a short time and he left, it looked like it made everybody go bananas. As far as winning, you got to win right away. He did it. Look what he did. But it was a plan in place. Anyway, I digressed. Another big game today. Who is it? Jackson State and Alcorn. Huge. And by the way, Charles, my bold statement for today's show, FAMU will get the number 2 seed, not Alcorn. That's my bold statement. Since I'm on the FAMU bandwagon.
You picked FAMU to beat Alcorn the other night, and I almost slammed the phone down. And I
wasn't going to bring that up, but I told you. I told you they're
I was
tough.
eating some Chinese food and I almost choked on it when that text came across.
Oh, don't do that, Charles.
Chinese food buffet. I'm eating a bunch of egg rolls and that text comes across. I almost choked on
it. But if you look at it, Will and Charles, just what you were saying, they was the hottest team. They've been winning at home. And I'll be honest, they're waiting next week for the blue and gold to come there.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I've been hearing from them. But I just knew they've been playing well. Alcorn's tough, but I said at home, give me 3 points. Now, I didn't think they was going to win by double digits. No, close to it.
They won by 9.
No, almost double digit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a big one today. Of course, Grambling State and Southern University, the Bayou Classic on the court. That's going to be an outstanding game as well. I've seen Southern teams, both on the men and women's side, with great records go into the Hobby Center and come out with a defeat, a blowout. So, you just got to take it one game at a time. Yeah. For Southern University, a 3-game lead on the men's side. The women, they're still in the battle as well. But for Southern, they're on the first of that 3-game road trip. This will be a good test for the Jaguars. Do I expect them to win all 3? No, I'm going to be honest. But I will be disappointed if they lose 2 out of the 3.
If Southern wins these 3 games, Grambling and Florida give them the championship. That's it. I mean, that's it. That's all. It's done. And so I think that's where it boils down to. 5 games left. You win 2 out of 3 on this swing here. You're gonna win the regular season. So I mean, but it stumbles a little bit. Then Florida A&M handles their business. And look, Alabama State. We're talking about Southern. We're not talking about Alabama State. That's a team that was 1 made shot away from beating us. They beat Alabama A&M in the Event Center. They beat Florida A&M. They ended their 5-game winning streak. So Alabama State, one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. If they're on from 3, and I don't know, and Coach Pettaway now he's back on, this is probably one of the best years we've had as far as 3-point shooting in this conference. Florida A&M can shoot lights out. Alabama State can shoot lights out. Southern University at times can shoot lights out from 3. We got some Jackson State can shoot from 3. This is one of the best 3-point shooting seasons we've had in a minute or two, at least in my opinion.
Right. Well, you're absolutely correct. I think there's been more emphasis on the coaches shooting the 3-point shot, and I think that and it's showing up in the games because I expect Bethune-Cookman to come in here today and shoot the 3-point. And of course, I know Alabama A&M is going to shoot the 3-point. I think coaches are just putting more emphasis on that. They're trying to stretch the floor so they can create more action, going to the basket and doing things on the inside.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Coach Pettaway. You live by the 3, you die by the 3. Sometimes you're hot, then sometimes you can shoot yourself in the game. You can shoot yourself outside of the game. I'm going back to Southern University. Free throw shooting, as Charles said, 11th in a tight game. That could be big. Or I could say, like Shaquille say, I hit him when it's important. We don't like that. And then that was a weakness last year, not finishing games. And then rebounding was one of their deficiencies. They've improved on that. So, where do you believe, should it be inside out, or is that the state of the college game? We know in the NBA is like that, and they're suffering now. It's 3 points a bust. Where is it in the college game?
Well, I think it depends on your personnel.
Mhm.
If you got the people that can score in the paint, it needs to be inside out. But if you don't, they got to stretch the floor. And a lot of people are doing 5 out. They're doing all these things to try to create space on the floor. And Carlos, to me, that when you look across the landscape of college basketball, that's what it is. That's what they're doing. They're spreading the doggone floor. You got more 5 out. You got more dribble handoff. Those kind of things. And that's what the college game has gone to. But now, when you look at some of the traditional people, look at what Patino is still doing up in St. John. Putting that ball in that paint, man. So there are some people that are still going inside. Carlos, if I was still coaching in the day's climate, that ball will go, I go inside out. I still would go inside out.
Yeah, that's my philosophy. Although I'm no coach, you start inside and out, and you're looking at how the game has changed. People continue to ask me, we need to get the 6'9", 6'10" guys, because you look at the 6'9", 6'10", 6'10" guys at the Division I level as well, but a lot of them are shooting threes. I mean, they don't play in the post anymore. So I guess you have to adapt.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think some of those big guys are going to bigger schools. I think every coach in this conference would love to get bigger, but it's I think Jackson State's gotten a little bit bigger than what I saw last year. I think we're getting them, but I think at the levels that we're getting them, I don't know if it's the same, but I think you definitely need to get bigger. We got enough shooters, we got enough scorers, but getting the ball in the paint, that's where it's tough for a lot of our teams.
And see here, Carlos, we got the size. We got 7-footers, we got 6'11", but they're more of the international kind. They play on the perimeter. They're not. They don't sit down and paint. The best post player they got is the 6'8" kid from last year, the kid from Atlanta. So the game has just really changed, man. Everybody's going to this global thing where they got to stretch the floor. They're putting all these big kids on the perimeter, letting them shoot the basketball. So when they get to college, they do it in high school. So by the time they get to college, they still want to do the same thing.
Yeah, I see some people in the chat room saying they miss the old-fashioned basketball, inside out. 6'8", 6'9" guys that are tough and athletic, but can still deliver down inside. And when you look at Southern University team, I said this, Coach, when you were having a problem connecting, they lead the nation in bench scoring. And you look, they're deep. I mean, I've seen him going, I'm not picking up FAMU, but that 91-57 shellacking, Southern started off slow. He put in a whole new second unit, and they took off. So a deep bench, and you just can't rely on one person.
Yeah, see that's the thing, Carlos. When you're deep, when you have a deep ball club, you can do things like that, and that's where your success comes from. That's why I don't understand why Jag Nation is, why they got so many negative things to say, because you're still leading the conference. You're number one in the league that you play in, and that's the first goal is to win the conference championship. They're in a great spot to do that, doing it, playing the way he's playing. And I think before I got cut off, I was saying, forget about how you win the game. As long as you win the game and you continue to do that, I think that's what you have to look at.
I think there are people here, Carlos, that are kind of feeling the same thing. Landon Bussey is defense 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Our offense is predicated from our defense. And I think a lot of fans are still trying to figure that one out. So when you're talking about these grind out games, 61-58, 59-51, that's Landon Bussey basketball in a nutshell. We like to see 98-97, 99-91, whatever it was, that overtime game, that triple overtime Southern Jackson. That's what we like to see as fans. But Landon Bussey wants to keep it 60 or below. Is it still a win? Yeah, but the gears are grinded, and it's not pretty, but it's still a win. And I think that's what people is trying to get adjusted to in terms of how he coaches and the style of basketball he wants to play. It's been successful to this point. And I think people want to see the bright lights, the threes, the Avery Johnson days, the Bobby Fields days. That's what people want to see. People want to see the Lindsey Hunter days, the Alfonso Ford days, in which it was three in a cloud of dust. No, it's not that, at least for us. And I think defense is what's going to win, especially in the NCAA tournament and in the SWAC tournament.
Guys, let me go in the chat room, and then we're going to take a break. Boy, we're long overdue for a break. You know what? EA, I love him to death. He says, I love 6'5" and 6'6" everywhere that are long and athletic. If I was coaching, if I could have a 6'5" point guard and a 6'5" off guard, number 2, then 6'6", 6'7" on the wings, and then in the post, 6'8", that's athletic. EA, I love that comment. I totally agree. I'm going to take a timeout. When we come back, it'll be more of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentjax.
The human voice has always connected audiences with experiences. Major brands all across America have trusted Kever's voice time and time again. Conversational, powerhouse, intelligent, and sincere. That's the voice you need for your creative marketing process. KEAVERSVOICE.com. Kever's Voice, Kever's Voice, KeversVoice.com. Always on, all the time.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Guys, this past Thursday night, some scores: Prairie View A&M over Mississippi Valley State, 57-50. It was TSU, I guess, back in winning ways over UAPB, 73-59. Bethune-Cookman over Alabama State, 56-53, and Alabama A&M. Coach Pettaway over FAMU. FAMU women, not as successful as the men, but Thursday night, boy, you still got to get used to that. And Charles, you have a bit of information. You seem to think that Thursday nights are going to be a foregone conclusion coming up next year.
Yeah, what my sources are telling me is that most likely the Thursday, Saturday deal is going to go away, and we're going to go back to doubleheaders next year. That's what I'm hearing as of right now. Now, attitudes can change, arms can get twisted, lobbying can and probably will occur to probably keep it as is. But in terms of the people that I've talked to, from on-campus folks to fans, some fans still haven't gotten used to it. And we got 5 games left in the regular season. People trying to figure out what's what. And we got 5 games left. But as of right now, from what I'm hearing, it may not survive another year. But again, it's got to be voted on in June. The SWAC meetings are in June. It's got to go up the flagpole, coaches, ADs, right up the ladder. And the conference will facilitate it if it's voted to extend it. But if not, we probably will go back to doubleheaders Saturday, Monday.
And see, Willa, if you look at the numbers, if you look at the attendance on Thursdays around the league, it's real low, man. And I think Southern and Alabama A&M, they've got two of the highest in terms of attendance. They're probably 1 and 2 when it comes to those Thursday night games. So I just think it's something that the administration will be looking at.
And you wanted to give the ladies an opportunity to shine in the sun, to be able to try to stand on their own, that sort of thing. So, the conference is to be applauded for, at least being willing to try and put it out there to see if it works. And if it doesn't work, it's just something that's not amenable, to our situation. So, I mean, we pack it up and move on.
Well, what you just said, Wheeler Brown, might be the reason why. And again, from what I've heard, it's a thumbs down. But if there's a thumbs up, is what you just said. Some people might say we didn't give it enough time. Let's give it another year, because you can do this year by year. I think the correction that you can make is easy. Go back to doubleheaders on Saturdays and Mondays. That's an easy fix. You got to get on the calendar, and you just kind of got to work through that. But I think if it's going to be extended another year, it's probably if it happens, it would probably be because, hey, we didn't give this but 1 year. Let's give it another year, and let's see. Now that everybody knows what this is like, let's give it 1 more year. Let's give it 1 more bite at the apple to see if this thing will work. And then maybe after 2 years, if it doesn't work, then you can say, okay, we gave it 2 good years. It just didn't stick. But for a reason to do it another year is because we didn't give it enough time. So I can see the other side of that too.
Well, that 2 year, not a 2 year contract, but
a 2 year, 2 year contract.
Hey, either way, if they, just my opinion, if they do away with it, fine. They decide to give it 1 more year. Hey, I'm open for it. Not that I have a vote, but the 2 teams that have the best attendance, they're doing pretty well in the standings. So that's something you have to consider as well. Guys, last week, any scores that jumped out to you? Alcorn over Bethune-Cookman, 78-74. It was FAMU defeating Jackson State, 76-71. Of course, Texas Southern won at Grambling, 67-60. Alabama A&M over Valley, 82-70, and Southern over Prairie View, 72-60, and Alabama State, 75-63 over UAPB. FAMU still hottest team in the conference on a hot win streak. Coach Pettaway, can they get the number 2 seed?
You said, can who get to number 2 seed?
Can FAMU? Can they get the number 2 seed?
Yeah, if they continue to play the way they're playing, but they come to Alabama now. A lot of times when you make that Alabama swing, it determines a lot. So to play in Montgomery and then to come here in Huntsville on Monday, it's going to be tough for Florida A&M. And I just think down the stretch, both Alabama State and Alabama A&M, they're trying to improve their standing, their seeding, And I just think it's going to be tough now. It's going to be tough.
Let's do a little projection. Who do you think is I know it's still a lot of basketball to play. When it's all said and done, the bold statement, who will get the second seed? Based on schedule and all of that.
I'm gonna be a homer here. I'm gonna go with the Braves. I'm gonna go with the Braves, and a large part of that, first of all, as far as the tiebreakers go, because that's what's gonna come into play here. 1-1 on tiebreakers. Talking about Alcorn, 1-1. We have the tiebreaker on Bethune-Cookman because we beat them twice, but we don't have the tiebreaker on Florida A&M because we lost to them twice.
Okay.
They beat us the first meeting by 3. We got to get them here. And then Texas Southern beat us by 6. We got them next week. If we don't win those 2 games, we won't be the number 2 seed. And we could fall. We could fall to 5 or 6. Alabama State is holding fort. They just beat us by a bucket. Alabama State's a team that's ascending that no one's talking about. Everybody knows Florida A&M now. They're not sneaking up on anybody. But Alabama State, what they've done, they're one of the better 3-point shooting teams. If they get hot, look out. And I think no one's talking about them, and I think that's a good thing for them. So I'm going to go Alcorn for a 2 seed. I'm giving them. I'm being a homer.
Oh, such the homer, Charles.
Hey, we're going to be honest. I'm going to give us because, look, last year we won 9 in a row. All right, so this time last year we were on a 4-game winning streak. We seemed to find a way down the stretch. I think we'll do it again. It was a hiccup the other night, no doubt. But I think we'll bounce back. We'll get the tie break on Jackson. We'll get the tie break on Texas Southern. We'll be the 2 seed.
Well, Coach Pettaway, can I counter that? Jackson State wins today at home, right?
Yeah.
And then who is a team that has just been in Alcorn's head most of the time?
Texas Southern.
Yeah. I rest my case. Go ahead, Coach Pettaway. I rest my case.
Hey, but Carlos, I'm serious now. Charles brought up a good thing about Alabama State. Now, when you look at that schedule, they got this home stand coming. They got 3 in a row at home, and then they just got to finish up on the road. And really, I think if they can get a split out if they can win at home, get a split on the road, that's your number 2 seed now. So you don't give up on Alabama State just yet now. They're still in the mix.
So your bold predictions, Alabama State ends up getting the number 2 seed? Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna go with Bama State.
Wheeler?
I'm gonna keep it up in the air, Carlos. You got too many tiebreakers in play. That sort of thing.
It's called a bold statement,
Will. Figuring out the tiebreaker. Tournament be over with. We still be trying to find out the tiebreaker.
Come on, Will. It's a bold statement.
I'm take a pass on that one, Carlos.
He had a tie for second place at one time. So yeah, he's right. I mean, it's hard to unravel that thing, but I do think it'll all come into play in the next week or two. I really believe that'll all get untangled.
Right. Yeah. And then see, Charles, I'll be where you are next week. I'm supposed to be at Jackson next week. So you let the people know I need that same spot you in right now so I can do the show because I'll be on the road. I'll be at Jackson next week.
All right. Let them know. It's hard to find a quiet spot.
Yeah, please let them know to look out for me, please, so I can get on.
I will do that. I'll do that.
Well, I'm not a man who is afraid of making a bold statement. I'll just continue what I said earlier in hour number 1. I'm going to stick with FAMU as my bold prediction for number 2. But now Alabama State, you made some convincing arguments about Alabama State. But I got to stick with FAMU. And Wheeler is called a bold statement.
Hey, but Carlos, you brought up a very good point, man. I think the schedule is going to come into play. That's part of the reason why I said Bama State now.
Yeah, good point.
Bam's got to get through this Alabama swing now. I'm serious now. This is the swing for them for the rest of the year. They got to get through this. If they don't get through this swing, they will not be the number 2 seed now. There's no way.
Point well taken. Chat room, who do you think is going to be your bold statement for the number 2 seed? We'll look at some of of those answers. Today's schedule: Jackson State and Alcorn State and FAMU, Alabama A&M and Bethune-Cookman, Prairie View A&M and UAPB, Grambling State and Southern, TSU and Mississippi Valley State. Monday night, TSU and UAPB, Prairie View A&M and Mississippi Valley State, Alabama State and Bethune-Cookman, and Alabama A&M at FAMU. Charles, as I turn the page, I haven't forgot the Andre Dawson Classic. I'm a little disappointed. Friday score, Coach Pettaway, Alabama A&M over Prairie View A&M 7-4. Jackson State over Southern University 6-4. Now, you know, I was sneaking and watching it. And Southern was up, and then next thing you know, they lost. I don't know. Still early.
Yeah.
But
you got Crenshaw. You got Crenshaw on the hot seat, Carlos.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Not me.
You got Crenshaw on the hot seat, Carlos.
Yeah.
Well, I am impressed, Carlos, with whether it's the Cactus Jack or whether it's the Andre Dawson Classic. The level of baseball in these two classics, the first couple weeks of the season, has been pretty good. You know, Brian Fulford did the Cactus Jack and just some intense games.
And Charles Bishop, excellent.
Yeah. Excellent job. I mean, and so the level of intensity that you're seeing in these two classics, and even some non-conference wins early in the season, tells me that even though there are no divisions in baseball, it's going to be a fight to get in the top 8. I mean, Florida A&M's done some good stuff. You know, Jackson State. I didn't know Omar Johnson never had a losing season. I saw an interview he did with MLB. He has been the model of consistency. Some people feel it's been time to go, but I think that's because of the tournament. In the tournament, he's been early outs, and that's not Omar Johnson. That's not Jackson State baseball. They're used to making a deep run. The past few years, they haven't. But he's been consistent. He really has, and so I'm impressed with that. But I think to make the top 8, I think it's going to be a dogfight. I think you can put Alabama A&M in the bag. You can't forget about Alabama State. Now, we've struggled a little bit, but I think we'll figure it out. I think it's going to be real intriguing who makes the top 8 for the baseball tournament with no divisions.
Well, if it was divisions, A&M in the East over Prairie View in the West, JSU over Southern, the old divisions, East over West. Alabama State defeated Grambling State 6-5, East over West. Missouri, only a 1-point victory over FAMU. Kerry Jackson, the head coach at Missouri. FAMU, baseball, outstanding. Great effort. Today's schedule, one game is already going. We'll probably get an update. Grambling State and Alabama A&M. That started, I guess, at 8 Central, 9 Central. 12 p.m., Jackson State and Prairie View A&M, Alabama State, Missouri, and FAMU and Southern to close it out. But Coach Pettaway, Alabama A&M. Hey, got a victory in the Cactus Jack. Got one at the Andre Dawson Classic. And is he an interim coach? I don't know. I thought I read he was an interim coach at Alabama A&M. But and then Sunday, Missouri and Southern, Prairie View and Grambling State, Alabama State and JSU, and Alabama A&M at FAMU. Now, you look at the scoring, though, early on, it's, a lot of runs being scored. So is that good hitting or is it not good pitching? Which is it? Or can two things be both at once?
No. I think, again, this is our Achilles heel as a conference. Not enough arms.
Mm-hmm.
You got probably 2 good starters, and you got a lot of bullpen guys. That's why Alabama State, when they had their coach Melendez, that's why they were good for so many years. They would have 15 or 16 pitchers because he believed pitching first, hitting second, and they had enough hitting too. So I think that's kind of something we got to continue to work on. We've got to continue to get better pitching, more pitching. When you get into the ring,
he brought that up from FAMU.
Quality arms.
He always had that pipeline overseas, or through the Dominican Republic, and some of those other places, and so he was always able to bring in some of the best from a pitching point of view. So he had always hung his hat in that area.
Yeah. And so we got, I mean, when it comes to down the stretch, right now we're still trying to figure things out. It's the first week of the season, first couple of weeks. But when it comes, and I'm looking at May, I'm looking at the regionals. That's what I'm looking at. I want to see us get a good seed in the regionals. I'm dreaming. I'm drunk. I'm high. All that. Yeah, call me all that. Call me all that. I've had my gummies in the last couple of weeks. So what I'm saying is that I want to see us to get a higher seed. But in order for that to happen, we got to win midweek games, quality midweek games. And in order to do that, we got to have more pitching, quality pitching to do that. And right now, still, it's been a struggle. It's going to continue to be, unfortunately. But, until we get that, these high-scoring games will continue. They'll probably go down a little. But, in a tournament, once you get past your number 2 starters, it's going to be 12-11, 13-12. That's great for fans to see, but it drives coaches crazy because that means you don't have a lot of arms.
Yeah, because ideally, middle relief, then coming out of the bullpen, a closer, good starting pitcher. But you're right, and we've seen it even in the regionals. We've seen some valiant efforts by our schools. But once you get in the loser bracket, it's the pitcher. And then in Southern's case, I'm looking to see if the bullpen, is there some improvement there? They had a non-conference. And show you what a difference a year makes. Last year, they upset LSU, right? In the non-conference game. This year, it wasn't even close. It was a spanking. Now, is LSU much better than last year? Or is Southern not as deep, not as good as last year? Still kind of early on both scenarios. But we see it. You say the midweek games, they're important. Out of conference games, it's just like basketball. I try not, Coach Pettaway, to keep peeking at these projections. Now I've seen another one. They're predicting Southern to win it, and they may not. 16 seed in the play-in. The last one I saw was against American University, so I started looking at American University. The moral of the story is I shouldn't be looking and peeking at these projections even now, because I saw where they were a 15 seed in quite a few of the projections. But it's all that, Coach Pettaway, projections.
Yeah, that's why the preseason stuff, you don't really, that's for the media and for the fans. As coaches, coaches just look at that. Some coaches use it for motivation when they're not picked in the right spot. But you can't rely on that, man. You got to go out and play. The game's going to be determined on whatever field of play you're in. That's what's going to happen. So that's what you rely on.
And so once again, I had a discussion with a family member, and it got heated. She basically said that she understands why they have to play all those guarantee games. And by the way, she peeks in on the show. So I say, are you agreeing with Willa Brown about those non-conference games? She pretty much, see, even in family, you can disagree. and my stance, and I think Coach Pettaway, Charles, has stated how he feels about it. Hopefully one day we'll have a different discussion about, scheduling more moderately. Balance is the word I've used. But we're just not there yet. We're just not there yet. So to continue to hope and wish and dream about not having to be in the play-in game. And then Charles brings up, and I was kind of shocked by this, Coach Pettaway. Some of the coaches like the play-in game. I guess it's because of money. Shame on you.
You got a better chance of winning.
Right, yeah, because you're not going up against that number one.
To be successful.
Well, you're
going to have to face one of the seed. You're going to have to face one of those giants anyway. And look, the number 2.
But at least get a game under your belt. Get a win in.
That's right.
Get that win in.
That's right.
Coach Pettaway has now left me, y'all, on the side.
Get a share. Get a share of that March Madness. Get a share. because you're not
Not
gonna get it if you lose.
can you believe what I'm about to say? Not all money is good money.
So
No.
give me some of the money that ain't good. I'll take it.
Well, you know, I've all and look, we were a 12 seed back in 1999. We played Stanford and took it to the wire. And I said to myself then, man, I would love for every year one of our SWAC schools to be a 12 or 13. Because I think with Southern University, if Southern was a 12 seed, they would give that 4 seed heck, whoever it is, if Southern is that. But it doesn't look like, and there are people who follow the ebbs and flows of these seedings, and they're probably correct. Play in 15, 16, it's going to be one of those three. You can pretty much bet. But I would love to see a Southern or one of our top teams to be a 12 seed, to go up against one of those teams. I think it would be, it may be a closer loss. It wouldn't be a blowout, I can say that. But I'd just like to get to that 12 seed. But being a 12 seed, it requires so much heavy lifting by other schools in this conference other than one. Probably not going to happen. I'm dreaming. I'm drunk on that one too. But we've been a 12. You know, Alcorn was that. And so I would love to see us get that again. But it's going to take a lot of heavy lifting by a lot of our teams in the conference.
Yeah, Carlos, when Southern beat Georgia Tech, they were a 13 seed.
Yeah.
Joe was a 13 seed when they beat Georgia Tech. So so you're right. You stand a better chance if you up. You got to get off of that 16 spot. You need to get up 14 or higher to really to match up with those teams a lot better. But most of the time, you remember now, 1 versus 16, we've only had one upset in the history of the tournament now. So you know that's not viable when you number 16.
Yeah, and the number 2 seeds a lot of times and the 3 seeds are pretty good as well. How many in the last few years that the number 1 seeds have not made it to the Final Four? And also that same year you're talking about Georgia Tech, there was another team in the conference that did well. You remember that team, Jackson State, that same year. Won the first round game in the NIT against Connecticut. Now, we're talking about dreaming. Boy, it would have been a great dream if both of those teams could have gotten into the tournament that year. But, the reality is we're still a 1-bid league. And at this point now, we're not, I'm just going to phrase it this way, we're not willing to do the work to get out of that. And I understand the big divide is I need the money. I need the cash. I'm saying I understand that. But I got Will to say that he would be in favor of looking into it of being more balanced with that schedule.
Definitely. Oh, no doubt. No doubt about it. Definitely.
Thank you, Willer. I still have hope for you. But, Coach Pettaway, you would love to see that not only in basketball, but baseball. I would love to see it be a 2-bid league in baseball and basketball consistently. Well, Charles, I can dream too. If you can dream, I can dream.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I agree.
How about that, hot shot? Yeah.
I would say it's probably a lot. I mean, neither one. If I were to put some money on which one's more likely to happen,
baseball.
I would say baseball. Absolutely. I mean, but even with midweek games, I mean, I know coaches got to go and get that money for midweek. It ain't that much, but I think coaches want to play midweek to kind of keep your team sharp because playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday with a limited roster, you're only using so many players. So midweek is basically for the other players that don't see action. So they would love it. But, how much money you're going to get? What's the guarantees? How much you're going to miss class that day and travel? It's a lot involved with those midweek games, especially those 2-game midweek series that we see from time to time.
Can I go back in the chat room? Boy, I got to love VA. He keeps me on my toes, huh? Again, Carlos, the name of the game is to make money in the tournament, so the play-in is perfect. A winnable game on national TV to open the tournament plus a second game, $2 million payout. Coach Pettaway, how many times in that play-in do HBCUs have a winning record? Let's be honest. Is it 50-50 or it's how has that success been in those play-in games?
It's closer to 50-50 because when you look at it now, Texas Southern's got a few wins. I'm serious now. You got to look at it. You know,
Grambling?
I don't have time to research it right now, but just going off my memory, I guarantee you it's closer to 50-50. That's where you're getting your wins. You've never gotten a win going in as a 16 seed. All your wins have come in the play-in game. So that's what the SWAC is used to right now.
I still don't like it.
Hey, Carlos,
I understand, Coach. Go ahead, Charles. Yeah,
I got 7 minutes for my pregame.
All right. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week.
All right, guys. Be safe.
All right. So let me get this straight. You got to get that money. Since I'm a big believer of making that money. Well, with that being said, EA, Coach Pettaway and Wheeler, I want a 80% win rate in those play-in games. Coach Pettaway say what? What? I want to see us do better. How about that one, EA?
Yeah, Carlos, I do. I agree with you. I want to see us do better, but you know we gotta temper our expectations now. 80%. Come on now, them other teams are fighting for something too that are in the play-in game.
70%.
Yeah. So 80% is kind of high now. You're shooting real high. That's the high mark.
You got to dream big. Let me go back to the chat room again. Our colleague, Dr. Cavill, says the question is not simply about money. You know, Dr. Cavill always has the calming manner. The question is how do we go about obtaining the resources necessary to be successful, i.e. contracts, fan attendance, broadcast, deal, etc. Very valid point. Because if all of this ties in to what Dr. Cavill is saying, I think it satisfies me, in my opinion, of where with those things in place, one day we'll move past to always being in the play-in game. Or am I missing it, Dr. Cavill? Am I missing what you're saying? Will Coach Pettaway?
It's always going to be tough. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's always going to be tough. You know, you look at trying to change the dynamics, which is what Dr. Cavill, I think is talking about. But it's difficult. It's difficult. It's always going to go back to product. You know, quite frankly, we aren't getting the same caliber of kids as some of those other larger schools, that sort of thing. So the talent base is not necessarily even across the board. So it's kind of difficult to expect an even across the board outcome. I mean, we'll jump up and bite you in the butt from time to time, that sort of thing, which is great. But in order to consistently bite it like that, we got to help change those dynamics in terms of getting the better ball players and, that sort of thing. So it's more than just one or two things that have to take place.
And it's more than just one school. The overall ranking of the conference has to move up in order to get off of that 16 seed to move up. And that's going to come with us, with them understanding about scheduling and winning some of those non-conference games in the preseason. So, there are a lot of moving pieces to getting out of the play-in game and even doing better in the play-in game. There are a lot of moving pieces to that.
And if I got an $18 million budget, Carlos,
hey,
okay, and somebody else,
who you directing that to?
And somebody else who shall not be named has a $4 million budget, it's hard to level that playing field. It's not going to be level, So, I mean, I don't know that there's necessarily an answer for that, unless that $4 million guy, brings it up to about 8 or 7 or somewhere in that vicinity, to where we can start to get in the game, and everybody, as we stated previously, everybody's on the same page in terms of scheduling. But as long as the needs are different, the scheduling needs are going to be different.
Willa, were you referring to Southern with that $18 million budget in the conference? Well, I don't know if we wanted to talk about that. To me, that's yeah.
And
That's
we know
more
it's not A&M with the 18 million. It's not us.
well. Seems like it should be more pressure then. Can you say the team, the institution with the largest budget? Now that's not counting expenses, because I'm sure the profit margin is not that big, but that shows you it's not guaranteed that they're winning the Commissioner Cup every year.
That's
They're
true.
not. They're not.
But I mean, but you're only like what, 4 points behind?
Well,
4 points behind Alabama State right now, 3 or 4 points behind.
well,
So you're right there.
It has been a good year this year.
You right there in the conversation, Carlos.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know that the expectation would be to win it every year, but you always going to be in that upper third, and your resources dictate that you should be. And you should be probably winning it more often than not.
Don't get me wrong. 18 million compared to 4 million. Oh, yeah, I kind of know who they're talking about.
I'd rather be on the 18 million side. I tell you that.
Yeah.
Even though that's probably not enough.
Yeah.
But it beats the alternative right now.
And if you could kind of rank them. Well, let's do this. Coaches and ADs. There's amount of pressure on both. But who would you think has the most pressure? The football coaches, or, well, I'm saying football coaches, but coaches no matter what sport, and director of athletics?
I'm going to say the AD. Go ahead, Coach. Go ahead, Coach.
No. I personally think if the pressure's on the coaches, they're going to feel the heat more than our AD.
Mm-hmm.
If the head coaches are not successful, then the heat jumps on the AD. But that heat's coming on them coaches.
And Coach Pettaway, he's probably right, but at the same time, that heat, when it gets on that AD level heat, it's kind of a different kind of heat there. It's coming from a whole lot more other directions, Carlos, as opposed to just a football heat or a basketball heat or what have you. It's an entire athletic program heat. Here we are, we're giving you all this money, and your sports that we expect to be right up there, aren't coming through. What does that say about you in terms of your hiring decisions? So, and you don't want folks questioning that either.
I'm gonna send you guys in my other text group. I sent an article about some of the HBCUs having to make the tough decision, athletics, to sustain them and keep them going. And then if you look at a lot of the athletic programs overall, not many are making, not many are in the black. So
hardly any.
Right. Okay. And so you're kind of looking at it as it's a tough situation. And then you throw in the fact, I don't want to get political, but the political climate will have an effect, there you go, on the sports climate.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing that they're cutting, aid to HBCUs, but then in the same token, you got some at the White House dancing and celebrating, and then the cuts are coming right then.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I want to get on the political side, but you get my point.
Mm-hmm.
I still say, no matter, we're at the point now we only can count on ourselves, and we've got to do whatever we can to make sure that we survive.
Mm-hmm.
Survive, and this political climate is nasty.
Yes, it is.
It's nasty. So I know for some sports, albeit through the collegiate area, that's sometimes a way to get away from reality, enjoy yourselves, the competition and stuff. For your professional sports, it's a way to kind of release the struggles of everyday life. But now it has come down to the collegiate sports. And for HBCUs, it's another battle to be won. And I'll say this, Wheeler and Coach Pettaway, we are special people. The stuff that we've gone through, and we're still here
Mm-hmm.
in spite of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead,
And,
Wheeler.
and it's a tie-in into campus life altogether,
Hmm.
and we can't discount that factor. Kids want to come to schools where the programs are winning. Where football is doing well, where men's and women's basketball are doing well, where your athletic programs are doing well. It's a sense of pride. And a lot of times you can't put a price tag on that pride. So we talk about losing money and all that sort of thing, budgets not coming in where they need to come in, that sort of thing. But the X factor on this is, how's enrollment doing? Are kids
Hmm.
coming to your institution, that sort of thing. And the success of your athletic teams is a primary reason why people want to come walk through that door.
Coach Pettaway.
Well, yeah. See, the funding is going to affect a lot of things, and when it affects the university, eventually it's going to trickle down to athletics. So,
Mm-hmm.
we all in this together, but this is what I look at. I look at the resiliency of the universities over the years. This too shall pass. We'll make it through this. I
Hmm.
think all of our institutions will make it through this. We'll survive.
We will
Because when you look at what our founders did, the way they brought all of our HBCUs into existence, uh, you don't see very many of us closing. We may have to re-emphasize where your priorities are, that kind of thing. But we will survive. I don't care how much they give us or don't give us. We've always found a way to make it through. And I still feel like these athletic directors and these presidents, they're going to do the right thing to make sure that these institutions are viable, and that we're doing what we were chartered to do, and that's to help these young African Americans and people of any color that want an education, and those that want to do it through athletics. I think that's going to be there.
Yeah. I was trying to post the article in the chat room here on the show, but I ended up putting the article on Carlos Brown on Facebook and the Carlos Brown Show, putting college athletics costs and context. Op-ed from Talladega College interim president, and they're struggling, but they're struggles throughout. And so, Willa, I always say, sometimes I'm tough on the director of athletics, but they have a hard job.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. And so, um, Coach Pettaway, you're right. And as I've stated before, 500, 1,000 years from now, of course, we won't be here, but we got to make sure those HBCUs are still here in place and viable, because HBCUs came about because denied, education from the general population, the general people, if you get my drift. So we got to make sure that they're still here. Let's see, 9 minutes left in the show. Doesn't do any good to take a timeout. You're right, Melody. So with 9 minutes left in the show, we kind of going to recap now. Basketball, Coach Pettaway, we talked about while you were gone some of the good games, top games in the conference today. Jackson State and Alcorn, Grambling State and Southern University, and Alabama State and FAMU. Coach Pettaway, how do you see those games going?
Well, I think with that FAMU game, Alabama State's playing real well at home. That's not going to be a cakewalk. That's going to be rough for FAMU going in there. That's why I told you earlier, I thought this Alabama swing is going to be tough for Florida A&M. Grambling who has the other matchup? Jackson State.
And Alcorn.
Jackson State and Alcorn. I think Jackson State plays well at home. I think they'll hold the corn off.
And Grambling and Southern.
Well, Southern. I got to go with Southern because they played the best basketball all year on the men's side. So on the men's side, I got to go with Southern. I'm going to go with Southern on the women's side also. I think Coach Fuentes will have those ladies ready to play.
And boy, it's always tough when you play a rival game, and this will be no exception. Grambling State's going to throw their best shot out. Is it going to be good enough? That is going to be the question, Coach Pettaway and Wheeler. A 3-game lead, but if you go on a losing streak toward the end, then it could make things very uncomfortable. I don't think that will happen, but I know Wheeler said in the text message earlier this week. What was it, Wheeler? 2. If they can get 2 out of 3,
split them. And
yeah.
if you can split that Florida trip and hold serve at home, you're okay. You okay.
Mm-hmm.
You're going into the tournament on a high note. And you're ready to go. You fix whatever ails you, from that one loss that you had, and you keep it moving from there. And so far, Coach Johnson has checked all the boxes. That's the thing. He's made all the adjustments necessary to make. Has it been perfect all the time? No, it hasn't. But they still found a way to get into the win column. And at the end of the day, like Coach Pettaway said, the Jag faithful, that's all that needs to concern them. Not how he breaks the press, or whether or not he runs a motion offense, or whether or not the ball goes inside, outside.
I see it's a
who's
motion
shooting the three
offense.
ball, that sort of thing. At the end of the day, it's about the W or the L. And if I got that W at the end of the day, y'all just need to shut the heck up and celebrate with me, and let's get ready for the next game.
Coach Pettaway, well said, Wheeler.
Yeah, I agree. I told you I'm picking Southern. I think they will end up being the conference champion because I think number one, the schedule's in their favor. Number two, they've shown all year that they can play, man. They can get it done, and that's the most important thing. And you want to play winning basketball down the stretch, and I think that's what Coach Johnson is instilling in those young men. And I think they're gonna win it. They're gonna win it down the stretch.
Well, let me be a homer again. I don't be a homer often. Very seldom. But I was talking last time we talked on the phone, Coach Johnson. He said, give Coach Pettaway a message. I took his advice. We built a deep team, and you see it. I like this team. And look, I know the last couple of times it was all about Southern finishing, having collapses later in the year, about this time, right? February. My bold statement again, I don't think it'll happen this time. I really don't. A deep team, and seeing them in person several times, they're tough. They don't crack. Texas Southern came back and cut it to 3 points. Southern finish. Now, Coach Pettaway, I don't know if you saw that game, but hands clap up for Coach Johnny Jones. One of their players in an important part of the game, he mouthed out to one of the players, and boy,
I watched the game.
He got a raw butt chewing from Coach Jones, and then he made him go to the locker room. And then the assistant coach got him. Hey.
Well, that's what you got to have. You got to have discipline. That was a very crucial point in that game. I watched the game. That's why I was able to comment about how Coach Johnson, in my opinion, did everything the right way. When a team is pressing you, you change up. And then if they come with that, you do something, or you start changing personnel. He did all of that. So that was just a tough game. You're gonna see peaks and valleys during the course of a season. That was a valley for Southern, but they came out on top. They rose back to the mountain. They climbed the hills and made the mountain. And that's all you can look for at this time of the year. Just keep bringing those W's. Mm-hmm. And I think Jag Nation at the end of the season, when they win the conference championship, they're not going to be thinking about that game. They're going to be thinking that they're conference champs. And that's the most important thing at this point of the year.
At least regular season, that's still, to me, I look at that is weighted heavily. You're ready for this? It's weighted heavily compared to the tournament championship. But I know I'm going to get attacked. I'm going to be in the minority on that. But that regular season still means a lot to me. You're laughing, Wheeler. Why?
You play the format the way the format is meant to be played. You know, so I mean, maybe in a perfect world, Carlos, you know, if you won the regular season, you should move on to the NCAAs, that sort of thing. But the format dictates that, you know, there's a conference tournament. Everybody's playing in a conference tournament. Everybody's going through the same trials and, you know, that sort of thing. So, you know, everybody would wish that their number one team that wins the regular season would make it through the tournament. Some will, some won't. That's just the beauty of the game, I think, in and of itself. And that's what makes it exciting to me.
Your opinion is valued. Excellent counterpoint. Coach Pettaway, I know you're getting ready, and we're about to end the show. We'll give you the last word.
Well, I'm just happy that I was able to get back on. I want to apologize for all the difficulties they've been having all day with this Wi-Fi. It's campus wide, so nothing was picking up. And I look forward to the action, and I look forward to being on next week.
All righty. Thanks a lot, Coach Pettaway. Thanks a lot, Wheeler. We appreciate the time. Now I guess I'll answer some emails, probably from my family member. I'm not going to debate again. I'm just going to enjoy some SWAC basketball and enjoy the rest of my weekend. I want to thank Melody and Ossie Clark, Charles Edmond as well, and you in the chat room. We appreciate you. Until next time at 11 a.m. for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, right here on the Black College Sports Network. Please hit the notification and a thumbs up. Until next time, peace and God bless.